Welcome to another episode of Dirtcheapdaily. In this episode, I'll show you how to easily install a cone filter. This install is similar for a bunch of different makes and models. The first thing you want to do before you even buy a filter is to make sure your stock airbox doesn't have any sensors or wires running into it. If it does, you'll need to do some more research and see if you can successfully run a cone filter in your car. I've put cone filters on all my Subarus and never had issues. I put them on because I've seen significant fuel economy gains and I love how they sound. Pull off the stock airbox. Most Subarus have a couple bolts holding the bottom piece in place. This model has a cold air shroud you also need to take off. And just a hose clamp to get the top piece of the airbox off. I always like to put the bolts back in their holes. You never know when you might use them again. I buy Spectre brand filters. They're inexpensive and of good quality. I also like that they have the extra hole and cone on the end, allowing for greater filter surface area. This is the larger 11-inch filter. On my other 4-cylinder Subarus, I've always used the standard 6-inch with great success. Grab the top part of the airbox and cut off the tube. You can buy a tube, but I don't ever plan on putting the stock airbox back in, and using this tube is free. Make sure you sand off the plastic burrs so no plastic gets sucked up into your engine. And after sanding, wipe out the inside of the tube. These filters have a couple of inserts you can take out if your tube is larger. Then you just slide it in and tighten it down. With that hose clamp tight, slide the tube back into the other intake tube and tighten it all up. One thing I usually do is pull out the big plastic airbox on the inside of the passenger fender, but it's kind of a hassle to get to with the tire on, so I decided to leave it in for now. I decided to use the cold air shroud to bring fresh air directly onto the new filter. I figured out what angle I wanted and cut off the excess. Just to make things look nice, I sanded down the cut on the shroud. After bolting the shroud back on, start the car and make sure everything's still working properly. Now grab some zip ties. Link them together if they're not long enough, and zip tie the intake onto something solid. You don't want it flopping around. It's a heavy cone filter on one end, and it doesn't have any support, so make sure you use enough zip ties to give it the support it needs. As I tighten, I feel how much slack there is in the filter, and tighten until it doesn't move. You don't need to make it too tight, but you don't want the filter moving around. Then grab something to cut with, and clip the ends of the zip ties. Now to secure the cold air shroud. The angle I cut at made it really easy to zip tie the shroud to the ABS module. This one doesn't have to be super tight, I mostly just wanted to ensure that it wouldn't rattle around. Giving it a little slack allows me to pull the shroud without having to cut the zip ties each time. Again, grab some snips and cut off the extra plastic. That's all there is to installing a cone filter. I'd recommend checking the filter in about a week and making sure all the hose clamps are still tight. But other than that, you're all set. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for future episodes. Follow me on Instagram for daily updates and giveaways. And be sure to check out some of my other videos.